Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi my loves, it's Destin Choice and you're watching Choice TV. So today's video I wanted to get on here and talk about everybody's weird obsession with James Charles' opinion. And I wanted to get on here and talk about how the world is really infatuated with canceling influencers like James Charles 60 times a year.
I just got a DM on here from a girl that said, "Good morning, James. I know you'll probably never see this, but if you could just take 1 minute to read it, would really mean a lot to me. I'm really struggling right now because Spirit Airlines just filed for bankruptcy and I have lost my job. Here's a GoFundMe link. Any donations help." I'm sure they do, sweetheart. I'm sure they do. You know what else would help you? Getting another job. Yeah, try that. Because in the time that it took you to copy and paste the same fuck-ass message to myself, who you don't follow, by the way, and probably 100 other influencers and celebrities, you could have applied for 100 other jobs, but you didn't because you're a lazy piece of shit and you're entitled. And you think that influencers and celebrities should fund your life for you. Why would I ever help you? You're not a fan. You don't even follow me. You've never supported me. This is your first time DMing. And you think that I'm going to send you money because you lost your job? Oh my God, welcome to the real world, sweetheart. People lose their jobs every fucking day and you're white, pretty, and able-bodied. You're in a much better position than a lot of other people out here who are trying clearly much harder to make a better life for themselves. Why would I fucking help you?
Shut up! Now, I've gotten GoFundMe leaks plenty of times, and I've had many people reach out to me via email and Instagram and TikTok and a lot of platforms asking me to donate money to them. I've had people send requests. Like, I've actually had to turn off my Cash App requests because there was a point in time where when I did share my Cash App, people would like request all types of crazy shit. Like people would ask me for like tampons and pad money. One person sent me a message saying that they wanted money for some Krispy Kreme donuts and all types of weird shit. People have done some really savage and weird shit to me because they think I'm an influencer who has like billions and millions of dollars. And I guess everybody just thinks that we're all like balling like PewDiePie and Mr. Beast. And people have done some shady shit to the point where like I've actually had to turn off my Cash App. Like I'll never forget where, you know, people were sending me weird requests saying, send me money for this. I need money really quickly, like on Cash App. Like I'll never forget there was this horrendous, evil fucking bitch. Like back then, like I remember I was still learning how to use Cash App, right? And as I was learning how to use Cash App, I wasn't familiar with the whole request and send button. So one girl on my birthday, I thought she was trying to send me $100 for my birthday, and it said accept request or deny. And I was like, oh, okay, well, request. So as I hit request, I ended up accidentally sending that girl $100, and I didn't even realize it until afterwards. And then she sent a heart and everything. I was so upset. And sadly, due to me accepting her request, automatically the balance I had on my Cash App went to her fucking Cash App. And it's crazy because, you know, you would think, okay, maybe this was just a misunderstanding. You read the memo where it says what the money is for. It literally says, happy birthday, Troyce. Like, she's wishing me happy birthday, but requesting me $100. Like, how the fuck you request for me to send you $100 on my fucking birthday, bitch? And I accidentally sent it and didn't even know that because I was still getting accustomed to Cash App. So for anybody watching this, if you know Marcellus Seals, and Marcellus Seals, if you watching this, you ain't shit, and I'm gonna find you. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Marcellus, I don't give a fuck if it was 6 years ago. I still remember that shit. I don't forget nothing. So people have done some weird shit to me too. So trust me, I definitely can see his perspective about telling her to grow the fuck up. But when you put it on the internet, now you just done pissed off everybody that sat down and bought your dusty ass fucking palette and still supported you when you were still selling crusty, crunchy booty pics to minors.
I stand behind what I said 10 toes down. The reason I made that video yesterday, though, was a lot of people these days do not have the make it work mentality. They have no desire to actually put in the effort to try to fix a problem and get themselves out of a situation. It was definitely a harsh choice of words, maybe not my best video, and I deleted it, but of course the internet is forever. And now a lot of content creators are using like the 5-second clip in the very beginning where I'm like, you're a lazy piece of shit, get a new job, to upload their cute little think pieces being like, influencers are all so out of touch. This is so disgusting. You don't know how hard it is in the job market these days. Oh my God, give me a fucking break. I am out of touch, first and foremost, okay? I am never going to be one of those influencers that gets online and pretends to be poor so I can come across as relatable to my audience. I think it's tacky, I think it's annoying, and I also think it's quite insulting to the audience watching, as if you guys are going to be fooled into thinking that. You've been watching me for 10 years now. It's no secret that I have been able to find success doing what I've done. It didn't start that way, though. I started from literally nothing and had a dream for myself and was determined to literally do anything to make it happen. And luckily, I've been blessed to be able to do that and now call this my full-time job. The reason I made that video yesterday, though, was a lot of people these days do not have the make it work mentality. They have no desire to actually put in the effort to try to fix a problem and get themselves out of a situation. They immediately result in asking for help. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for help. In my personal opinion, though, it should be a last resort.
He really could have just ignored this fucking email or message or wherever he got this message from. And it's disappointing because now there's a lot of opportunists who are now using this as an opportunity to be like, yeah, I'm the girl that went through this, or I'm the girl that went through this, or this is the girl that went through this. And people are actually making fake GoFundMes saying that they're the person because, you know, Spirit Airlines got shut down, and a lot of companies like GoFundMe and a bunch of other companies are now offering to look for this person who James Charles shitted on and offering the help. And it's disappointing as fuck because, again, this is not some shit that he should have just responded to and just, like, he really could have ignored this because, again, you just made things worse for yourself because you're already, like, on standby for a lot of the fuck shit you've done.
He asked me what my age was, and I told him I was 14 years old, and he told me I was very young. And I said, yeah, and he said, add me on Snapchat because I feel more comfortable talking on there. And so I said, okay, like, let's do it, like, bet. And he was asking me to send him nudes, and he kept wanting me to go to LA, and he kept sending me nudes.
Anyways, I go to bed that night and I wake up to his nudes being sent to me, and it made me very, very uncomfortable. He would send me a photo of his behind in the mirror, and he also sent me a video of him naked in the shower, which those videos are somewhere on the internet. I'm sure you can find it. If I looked, I could probably find them in a Google Drive that we actually had for my lawyer. He started realizing that I wasn't into that. He started kind of making threats towards me.
So if you guys haven't heard, Sangria, James Charles is getting a lot of backlash because basically he decided to get on the internet and dox and expose and disrespect somebody who went out of their way to message him and ask him for a donation. Because as you guys know, Spirit Airlines is going through a big shutdown right now, which is a big red flag, which a lot of people should be paying attention to. Spirit Airlines is a huge low-budget airline in America, and, you know, there are times where sometimes you want a last-minute flight and you don't know what else to do. So sometimes Spirit Airlines does come in handy. I'm not going to fly with Spirit Airlines. You know, I can't fucking stand Spirit Airlines personally. But, you know, rest in peace to them. And shout out to everybody that's struggling right now. And I hope a lot of people who are unemployed do get on the right path and get on the better path with Spirit Airlines being gone. And I hope with everything going on with Spirit Airlines and 15,000 people being out of work, I hope things work out for them. Because now is not the time to be unemployed and struggling. Because as we all know, gas is going up. Food is going up. Milk is going up. You go down the street to go buy some fucking food or go to a restaurant, you're paying at least $150 minimum if you live in a Western country for a nice dinner out to eat in America. And then on top of that, a lot of us are struggling in terms of like trying to like find better paying jobs, better paying opportunities. Influencers are struggling too. You know, nowadays brands are broke. Brands aren't really cutting the check like they once did anymore. So now things are slow for a lot of content creators. And now a lot of us are going through a period in life where even when you quit your job, you got to be very cautious before you quit because now you might not get another one. He then posted a final video explaining why he went off like how he did and apologized to any of his fans that felt offense. But the apology wasn't genuine at all because it took you a third video to apologize. And plus, why apologize? You literally had a video prior to that saying that you stand by what the fuck you said. Stand by what the fuck you said. You know what I mean? I can't stand a fucking wimpy pussy ass bitch. Stand by what you said. Don't let the internet bully you into apologizing if you're not genuinely sorry. So my respect for James Charles has definitely gotten lower. But here's what he had to say.
It was rude, it was obnoxious, it was privileged, and most importantly, it was completely fucking unnecessary. When I saw that DM, I absolutely had the choice to ignore it and say absolutely nothing at all and move on with my day. But instead, I couldn't even tell you why. Her message just triggered me, and I decided instead to make a video about it. And I bashed her, and it was obnoxious, and I shamed her for asking for help in a situation where she was clearly really struggling and this could have been her absolute last resort. I have no idea what was going on in her life, and I should have never assumed that she was just copying and pasting this DM as an easy way out. I don't know. I just don't know. My intention behind making this video in the first place was I get a lot of messages like this every single day. And for me personally, it definitely sucks to receive messages from people that don't follow you and don't support you, treating you like our personal ATM or bank account. But what I'm sure sucks even fucking more is not knowing where your next paycheck is coming from and not being sure whether or not you're going to be able to put food on the table for yourself and your family. And I know that it's not that easy. I know that the job market fucking sucks right now. I have friends that are looking for jobs. I have my own employees that I try my best to take care of. And I've heard so many fucking horror stories online of companies ghosting people, recruiters wasting everybody's time, people applying for job after job and not hearing back for 6 months, a year, 2 years. I know that it's really fucking hard out there.
James Charles did not grow up from the bubblegum bottom. Like, he grew up pretty much privileged for most of his life. He grew up in a middle class family. If y'all didn't know, James Charles first went viral back in 2018, 2017, I think, when he was a teenager. His senior photo went viral, and that's how he got famous. And he was huge. But then life happened. And the one thing I'll tell you about life is that the one thing that happened is opinions are like a gallon of milk. They go bad really, really quickly. Images, heroes, people who are on top of the world, you quickly see how quickly someone can demise and be their own downfall. You quickly see how somebody can go from being on top to being the scum of the earth.
Talking in detail about things you wanted to do to the waiter. And when I said, James, he's straight, your response was, doesn't matter, I'm a celebrity. So freaking gross. And you said that in front of my family. In front of my childhood friends. I had to call every one of them up the next morning and apologize on your behalf because it was so uncomfortable.
Now, I get James Charles is very young, and James Charles did get famous very young, but it is a little bit creepy how James Charles has multiple scandals of him texting teeny boppers. Like, you literally have at least 5 or 6 scandals of you texting teeny boppers your ashy crunchy booty pics. And even other big-name creators like Jackie Aina and other big-name TikTokers called him out for just being a garbage person. And when I see stuff like this, all I think to myself is, well, duh, bitch! Of course, he's James Charles. He doesn't really hide who he is. Of course, he'll do his usual where he'll get the backlash and then he does his normal PR apology, which he did. And then, of course, he backpedaled, deleted that apology, and then made another apology saying, okay, you know what, I was wrong, people educated me, I now realize I was in the wrong, the job market is super, super hard. How the fuck would you know? You've been famous since you was 16, 17 years old. You've been getting multi-million-dollar brand deals since you was a teenager. How the fuck would you know about the job market? A lot of us have family, relatives, and hell, some of y'all watching this are struggling in the job market. And you know what's so sad about James Charles getting all this backlash is the fact that nobody should give a fuck because there's a lot more important things in this world that we should be talking about. I associate James Charles and all them other people as the snow bunnies of YouTube. Those are the snow bunnies that will go out their way, try to convert straight guys, do all types of crazy shit, go say all types of niggers and N-words and shit, and still get brand deals and still be respected and still get followers and still get invited to events and shit like that. I don't like talking about that part of YouTube because they get away with everything. What we really should be talking about is Cuba. Let's talk about the fact that a big portion of Cuba, who was reliant on Venezuela's oil and Venezuela's resources for electricity, is now out of power.
Latest on the crisis in Cuba, the country's power grid collapsing, leaving almost 11 million people without power. The news comes 2 months after the U.S. halted critical oil shipments from Venezuela following the capture of Nicolas Maduro. The blackout wreaking havoc on food, fuel, and electricity. On Monday, the New York Times confirming that a Miami Herald report was accurate. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel must step down in order for the U.S. and Cuba to move forward in meaningful negotiations. President Trump spoke about Cuba yesterday afternoon.
I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it.
The Cubans are growing restless. The central town of Moron has been seeing nightly uprisings, frustrated with the state of the country.
This whole issue of scheduled blackouts. When you get up in the morning, there is no power. You go to work, you go to school, you come back, and there is no power. With the collapse of the electrical power system, half the people, or the entire population, are without power and without connection. We are cut off. We don't know what the news is, because we can't turn on the TV, and so on.
And unless you're fucking super rich, you don't have electricity right now if you live in Cuba. And most of Cuban citizens aren't able to reach us, report a lot of this on TikTok, or show this on social media because they don't have power. No power means a lot of them can't talk about what's actually going on. There's active protests going on because the U.S. has placed multiple sanctions on Cuba, which means this. A lot of countries are going to be, stepping on eggshells when it comes to trading with Cuba, which means, hey, if we want to get our products in there, if you want to sell kitchen appliances, ketchup, kitchen materials, factory materials, boxes, anything that'll help the economy going, a lot of countries are going to think twice before they ship over there. Because if they do ship with Cuba, a lot of countries are going to get backlash from the U.S., which means a lot of U.S. companies are going to be like, well, we can't work with you no more because Cuba's sanctioned. If you help Cuba in any way, provide them funding, give them products, we're going to be taxing you and giving you shit. So because the U.S. is very powerful and because the U.S. currency is very powerful, they're essentially trying to bully Cuban politicians by telling them, if you don't get in order, if you don't, eliminate this communist one-party system, we're not going to let the rest of the world trade with you. On top of that, many people can't even get access to money. So if your loved ones want to, send you money and you're living in Cuba, that's a goner, because guess what? You can't Western Union your folks' money. And Western Union is a very powerful resource because if someone's in a whole other country, you could essentially wire their money, but you can't do that anymore because guess what? Western Union is part of America. So because Western Union is part of America, they shut that shit down immediately. So if anyone's trying to wire money or send money to their loved ones who need food or are struggling, because there's a lot of Cubans in America and in Spain that always send thousands of dollars to their loved ones, they can't anymore. And because they can't send thousands of dollars to their loved ones anymore, their loved ones can't eat and their loved ones aren't able to work because the economy is messed up. So this isn't a joke with Cuba not having any power. This is just literally, political imperialism and trying to intimidate a country into shifting in a different political direction. And now the whole country has to suffer and people have to starve. And guess what? Hospitals can't even operate no more because they operate on the same power grid that's now shut off. Universities can't function anymore. Community colleges can't function anymore. Cuba is a struggling country. They don't produce enough oil to power the whole entire country. So they get a lot of their oil from Venezuela. Well, newsflash, America has control of Venezuela. On top of that, a lot of their oil came from places like China and other countries in the world. They can no longer get their oil from other places anymore because now the U.S. said, if any of y'all that we are also cool with break our alliance and try to work and help Cuba and try to participate and make this country comfortable, we're not going to be fucking with you no more, and we're going to be pulling back and putting sanctions on you as well. So now these countries are scared of being taxed, so they're not going to aid and assist Cuba because they don't want to burn a bridge with America anymore. So because they import their oil from all over the world, oil can't power their power grid and give them electricity. And due to that, a lot of ships are not going over there to bring oil. And on top of that, a lot of insurance companies that usually insure these ships that provide oil to these countries like Cuba, they're not going to be going over to Cuba anymore because there's no benefit for them since America said, if any of y'all who are associated with us work with them, you're done and we're not doing business with you. Let's talk about the fucking hamburger helper virus. I can't say the word because you got to be careful with YouTube's dumbass censorship laws, but let's talk about the hamburger helper virus. The hamburger helper virus is has the whole world in a fucking chokehold right now because we don't know what the fuck is going to happen. We don't know if we're going to end up in another pandemic, if we're going to have to go back to wearing masks. We don't know if it's going to affect tourism for a lot of countries, and there are a lot of countries that rely on tourism to eat and survive.
Tied to a luxury cruise ship is now stretching across multiple countries. Health officials are now monitoring dozens of people here in the U.S., including 4 in California. Now, one patient in France is critically ill. Here's ABC's Ashan Singh.
This morning, a French woman infected with Hantavirus is now in critical condition. Doctors say she is suffering from the most severe outcome of the virus, with life-threatening damage to her lungs and heart. The woman is now being treated with an artificial lung, as the World Health Organization says the outbreak has grown to 11 reported cases worldwide, including 3 deaths. Here in the United States, officials are currently monitoring 36 people across 10 states, including passengers who returned home early or shared flights with infected travelers. In Atlanta, 2 American passengers were taken to Emory University Hospital for evaluation.
So you mean to tell me this shit is being spread by rat feces and rat pee? First of all, this is a fucking scam and I already know it. Like, I'm not saying it's not real. All I'm saying is, who the fuck put this shit on a fucking cruise ship? Who the fuck put fucking, what's his name, Tom and Jerry and these fucking rats on these random ass flights? Because this shit can only be spread if you're inhaling the feces of a fucking rat. Or like you get in contact to his pee. Who the fuck was eating rat stew? Who the fuck was eating rat fucking salad? Like, how the fuck did that shit just pass around and just spread like that? Like, I'm telling you, this is some shit that got me like a little bit bent right now. Like, it's shit like this that I see that has me thinking like, all right, I think we might as well just blow this shit up and just start over and get a whole new Earth. Because at this point, just throw the whole fucking Earth away. And much more. You know this shit is going to spread. We don't know what's going to go on in the world. We should be talking about that. We should be talking about the migrant issue going on right now in many countries such as Italy, Spain, France, and a lot of other countries such as the US and Canada, where a lot of countries are literally allowing millions of migrants to come in and swoop in and literally take opportunities away from the citizens. Not in a malicious way, but in a way where because they don't want to pay a lot of y'all a livable wage, they're outsourcing to a lot of immigrants and bringing them to different countries.
Manitoba, which is among the Canadian provinces facing a nursing labor shortage, has recruited 347 nurses from the Philippines as part of its efforts to address the problem. Manitoba Health Minister Audrey Gordon said the province has an existing agreement with the Philippines on the hiring of Filipino nurses. Under this Memorandum of Understanding and Labor Mobility, Manitoba has offered employment to 186 registered Filipino nurses, 50 licensed practical nurses, and 111 healthcare aides.
The individuals in the nursing category for RNs were required to have 2 years, bachelor's of nursing degree, 2 years of work experience in a healthcare facility or a personal care home. They also were required to have their English language competency, as well as, of course, as you know, the desire to migrate to Manitoba.
With some 90,000 Filipinos calling the province home, Gordon noted Manitoba's special bond with the Philippines.
They're outsourcing and having thousands of Filipinos from all over the Philippines come into their country, such as Canada, for example, and they're giving them less money and having them stay in the country, work in hospitals, and they're offering them things such as permanent residency, which will later turn into citizenship. Yet every year there's always a random ass strike with nurses in the UK and in many parts of the US and in Canada.
You know, we've been at the table for just over 6 months, and we have proposed and counter-proposed up to like 140 proposals. We've only heard back from the employer on 65 of them, and they only agreed to 4. And one was literally correcting a spelling mistake in our current collective agreement. You know, when what we're proposing are things that could improve working conditions in a meaningful way, improve workload, improve patient care, address health and safety issues, address violence in the workplace. And so for us, it just wasn't feeling that the employer was taking our concerns seriously. So that's certainly a big issue. Benefits is another huge issue. Nurses need eyeglasses so they can see the medications they're drawing up to give patients. We need hearing aids so we can effectively communicate with our patients. And we do need paramedicals to stay fit and healthy and able to provide the care that patients require at the bedside. So benefits is also another significant issue.
Yeah, nah. A lot of these fucking hospitals don't give a fuck about giving y'all benefits, talking about eyeglass and, oh, we need this and we need some paid leave. They're not giving y'all none of that shit. They're going to outsource to the Philippines and they're going to hire migrants for that, especially a lot of y'all who are like living in Spain or living in, you know, France and Italy. Yeah, a lot of you who live in Europe, y'all don't like to fucking work. Y'all like having paid leave, paid vacations, and flexibility. Yeah, they tired of y'all asses. They're literally going to be outsourcing to Bangladesh, India, the Philippines, and they're going to be giving opportunities to those people who will actually take the work. They're going to pay them $10 to $15 less, a few dollars less, and they're not going to give them barely any benefits. They're going to give them the bare minimum because a lot of them are just happy to just be in a Western country with higher wages so that way they can go invest back into their home country. So a lot of these Filipinos, Bangladesh, Indians, and a lot of these people who come from easternized countries in Africa, they're going to be 10, 20, 25, 30 people to one apartment. And they're going to take the low wages that a lot of y'all complain about in Canada and in America and in the West. And they're going to go invest it into themselves and in back home. And they're going to budget and they're going to literally do whatever they can to take every fucking opportunity that a lot of y'all don't value. So that's why companies don't care to increase the wage. That's why some of y'all try to apply for a remote job and you're from a Western country and you got the credentials. They're going to give it to some dude who works in Bangladesh who's going to do it for way, way less. So they're outsourcing so many jobs to foreigners, and y'all wonder why a lot of these foreigners and random migrants are coming in out of nowhere. A lot of them are getting their work visas sponsored. A lot of them are being offered opportunities, and a lot of them are working for much, much less. Hell, some of them are working for that $9, $10, $11 an hour a lot of y'all aren't willing to work for. And guess what? Some of them who live in foreign countries are happy to take it. They'll live 6, 20, 25, 30 people in one apartment just so they can all be working in America, just to say that they live in America or that they live in Canada, or just to say that they live in the UK. Nowadays, when you pick up the phone and you want to call somebody who works for your bank, you don't even hear someone that lives in your country. A lot of times, it's someone who literally lives in like 6 different time zones away. You now will talk to someone who's from fucking Bangladesh or India or somewhere deep, deep far away in Asia. And a lot of times they'll hire those people for like what? Sometimes $1.50 to $3 an hour, and they won't hire your ass, and your ass been applying for jobs for the past 2 fucking months. Let's talk about that. We over here talking about this crunchy booty bitch who's over here sending pictures to fucking little teeny boppers and shit. We should be talking about a lot of these other things. James Charles is fucking irrelevant. He won't even be around in the next 5 years. Like, most of us forgot that he even existed until he fucking opened his big fat ass mouth and started strutting down the hall. Most of us shouldn't even be paying attention to James Charles. Let him fade into obscurity. The one thing I've learned about life is that time will expose who was real, who was fake, who was genuine, and time will always cause the right people to expire. We should be talking about those things. So when it comes down to James Charles, I don't give a fuck about James Charles. I don't see how the fuck that's news, and I don't give a fuck that this bitch is talking about how he's mad about somebody asking for money. Who gives a fuck? It's his fucking money, and if he doesn't want to give anybody shit, that is his fucking business. But when it comes to James Charles doing this fake ass apology and everybody eating up and fucking being fake outraged about it, bitch, Spirit Airlines is gone. Sorry, but pay attention to a lot of that stuff. So as far as James Charles, fuck him. He can go to hell. And we probably won't even hear about him in the next 2 years anyways. But let's talk about those things. Those videos will be coming soon. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Give your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And yeah, that's that. Choice out this bitch. Sometimes love comes around and it knocks you out, and you out, and it knocks you down, Sometimes love comes around and it knocks you down. Just get back up when it knocks you down, knocks you down.